funding and taxpayer money and everything. And the gentlemen's, or the individuals that I would like to have asked a question to are not here tonight, and that would be our county commissioners. I believe that there is excessive amount of money within our county, possibly in the millions of dollars, of impact fees from the gas and natural resource drilling. And maybe I'm wrong. I see a lot of scowls up there. And my question is, why as a county, if we have that kind of money and those kind of resources available, why some of those resources aren't being released for programs such as to help WAADE and some of these other programs?
I can answer that question.
Okay.
I actually visited with the county commissioners and asked that very same question.
Kim, you may want to, your voice is very loud.
I actually met with the county commissioners about this very same subject. And it's my understanding that there's specific restrictions to how that money is being used. And that's what I was told.
Okay.
So they pretty much told me point blank that that money cannot be used for any of our efforts. Now, I believe it was what was the name of it? I wish I had my notebook with me, because I tell you where to go on the internet. And I did do a little investigating, and Lisa and I actually have been invited to attend a forum. Lisa, do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah,
You
Crystal,
better come over here too.
they can hear me, I'm
Oh.
loud. Congresswoman Crystal Bristol spoke at a forum in Mansfield on Marcellus Shale, and she's actually the one that brought the impact fee money, like she brought that up to me. And pretty much what she explained is that Tioga County last year received $4.5 million in impact fee money, and it's only to be used in 12 or 13 areas. And one of those areas was social services. I did some research on it, and unfortunately, they don't want to fund anything that's related to drug and alcohol addiction. Any type of community, any resources, any halfway houses, they don't want nothing to do with it. But the whole meeting, this whole forum on Marcellus Shale and the gas companies was actually just taken over because everybody wanted to talk about was how the drugs are affecting their gas companies and their employees, and they can't get workers that can pass drug tests. So we've been invited to speak at the next meeting to talk about what we as a community can do to promote recovering addicts to get jobs in the gas companies, what the gas companies themselves can do to decrease drug use within the companies, and that'll promote more employment for us as recovering addicts, and hopefully it'll decrease some of the usage out there in the fields because it's booming here.
Yeah, and I think we need to, as a community and as a whole, ask these tough questions of our legislatures. And I have one other unrelated question that I would hope somebody in the EMS field or in the law enforcement field could answer for me. Just before I came, my son and I had a little disagreement with the use of Narcan. That is something that is becoming prevalent, or there's been a lot of talk about law enforcement or first responders being able to carry that. I'd like to know what your views and what you guys think about it.
First, I'd like to apologize for being late. I had an incident I had to go assist another department with. I think I'm loud enough. From my understanding, Narcan, and I've spoke with a couple paramedics and stuff, the big negative with that is when people come out of their overdose, that they are very violent. So now you've got EMS people working with that, and so it's just as effective to bag the person and get them to a hospital and then let them get treated that way. I'm not saying that Narcan's not a good tool to use, but out here where you got 35, 40 minutes to get to the hospital, it could be a negative.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tony Rucco. I moved here in 2009. I originally from New York, and what I did was I couldn't stand the drugs up in New York. I despise it with a passion. I want to commend Lisa for what she's doing. I hope you have a very successful life. But I have to ask this. Where you got your drugs from, are these people in service right now? Good, I'd like to hear that.
I have mobile patrol on my phone, and actually every one of them,
Because it
every
seems
one
like-
of them is in there.
Okay, because it seems to me that everybody said, yeah, I know who these drug dealers are, but nobody's done anything about it. And yet
It's
it's
not as
just,
quick as what I would, as what anybody wants, but eventually it always happens. Always, it never fails.
okay, because that's my big thing.
It's just not as fast as what everybody wants, but like, you look at every single drug addict out there, and 99% of us have legal charges pressed against us in some way or another. So in one way or another, we're all eventually going down, but it's just not as fast as what the community wants or what we envision, but it definitely does happen.
Apparently it's not happening fast enough to what we like. Like they would do that.
Well, I was just gonna add to that, and my husband could probably explain it better than I do. I know that the dealer that sold my drugs, or my son drugs, is no longer with us. He had a lot of charges against him, and, took his own life. And, but I know that when you put a big drug dealer like that in prison or whatever, they sell their supply list. Gary, explain that. Come on, stand up and talk.
With our technology, in this day and age, with the iPhones and everything, all they have to do is sell their phone number to another dealer, and then he's got all the contacts.
So it's a force multiplier then?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just very curious about it because I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it.
We actually moved away from Pennsylvania and went into New York State. We lived near Rochester, lived in Oleana. We came back home because it was a safe place
Yes,
to raise our children.
Yeah, very aware of Lexington Street and all that in Rochester, yeah. I guess that's why I came here.
But it's very important to mention, it's not just us. This is a nationwide problem.
Right.
You know, my two older sons live in New York State. They're dealing with the same issues there as we are here. No one is exempt from this problem.
Yeah, I see that, which is unfortunate. But I still like to see him tag and something, yeah.
Just to add to you on kind of our end of the thing, I mean, everyone wants an instant result. Unfortunately, I would love to provide that, but we can't. I think a lot of the misconception of the instant result doesn't necessarily start from TV, but it's because of the want and the desire to have them off the street. I think a lot of the community members need to be informed as to how to get that information to confirm that somebody's actually using drugs. Because I know there's a lot of people that suspect people that use drugs, and suspect people that are selling drugs, and there's a lot of traffic in and out of this house, or this house. Well, that's true, but all we have to go on is there's a lot of traffic out of that house. That doesn't mean we've seen the drugs, that doesn't mean we've seen the drug dealers, that doesn't mean we're ignoring your information, but what we need more is more eyes and ears to know more detail, and to get more detail so we can actually stand up and go to that house, or somehow make entrance into that house, or do a vehicle stop knowing who those vehicles were. And we can take the vehicle plates down, which is what we ask in the community neighborhood watch programs, you know, how to be observant, what to observe, what to look for, what to write down, and what to report. So I think that's kind of important.
Okay, in the outcome, then, would there the criminal watch, those people that were in the park, were they ever back, were they arrested?
They weren't. We actually had Bobby G at our meeting this past week, and, it's very hard for police officers to apprehend a drug dealer. We as citizens have more rights to, really, because of everybody wanting a second chance and everything, it's very hard to catch them. I don't know if they were ever caught. They moved to the next area, and that became a focus area, and then they moved to the next area, and that's a focus area.
A bunch
So-
of locusts is what they are, okay.
Excuse me?
There were a bunch of locusts, that's what they didn't consume, and they move on, and they consume and move on. That's
Yeah,
what I'm seeing with these people, and they,
right, but I do want you guys to know that the police force does do what they can do. I mean, blaming people is not gonna solve this problem. That's why you guys, you're the key piece to this, is getting community support and being there.
okay, thank you very much, I really appreciate it.
Tony, may I add one thing?
Sure.
Just for the benefit, I'm not gonna stand here and defend what we do, I'm just gonna state fact. We're a Commonwealth, and, you know, these guys are in the gin weed, I say. The uniforms, and they're out there daily, you know, it's different for me, but, for example, and Dick mentioned earlier when it came to the search warrant side of things, we are very specific and very articulate. Our laws and our courts have determined that. You know, that's a huge decision to kick a door. And, you know, suspicion is one thing, rising to the level of probable cause is another. And I say that because, as Joe was mentioning, you know, there could be a lot of suspicion about the in and out as far as a respective house, but we have to have those specifics, which sometimes takes time. And as I said earlier, can it be frustrating? Yes, it can be frustrating, and I say that from my personal aspect, but that is the system we have. And we have to honor that system and coincide with that, those decisions. So the work's being done daily. Every day I'm talking to the troopers and the officers in regards to these specifics, and sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. The fight's being fought.
Well, it just seems to be losing for right now, and I don't care for that.
I don't either.
Okay, thank you, I really appreciate it.
We also have to remember, it took a long time to get here, it's gonna take some time to go back. And I can tell you, after meeting with a lot of law officials, law enforcement, they're as frustrated as we are. They're not sitting there doing nothing, they truly are not. I've had extensive conversations with, law enforcement, and they're trying to work really hard, they want to change as much as we do.
Good, again, thank you.
Talking about the police force, I respect them very highly. I give my hand to them. My father was a law enforcement for many years, and out in the valley. Knoxville has not had a police officer for several years now. I had gone to the council about this, and he tells me, give me names, send them down for applications. Within that year, I have told people to go down and put their names in. They're police officers, they're looking part-time, they're looking for full-time. Meantime, the borough has sold the car, trying to tell me there's no money in the borough. There were plenty of money in the borough for many years to hold a police officer. Osceola is a very small community to Knoxville. Now, talking about the drugs going into Knoxville, yes, there is. We see it all the time. Can we do something about it? How long does it take for our neighborhood watch? Paul Watkins told me, get involved with your community watch. Okay, we have no police officer. State troopers are very thin as it is, and very hard for them to come to our aid in our area that takes 45 minutes to an hour to get to us. They're busy too. Can the valley come up through? Can Westfield, can Elkland, Tioga, Lawrenceville come up in that valley and help without Or do they have to have permission from the state troopers to help? How can we get a cop in Knoxville back in our service?
You're gonna have to talk to your Knoxville.
I had talked
I
to
know,
them.
I know I'm telling you something you don't wanna hear. Unfortunately, other departments such as Tioga, Westfield, they do shared services. It's something you might wanna look into with, if that hasn't been addressed or talked about, you know, with the local, not Tioga, because that's way too far for shared service, but the next township over that has one, the shared services like we're gonna be doing with the Tioga Borough, and hopefully soon doing with the Tioga Township. But we're gonna be reaching out, because they don't have law enforcement, but they can use our services and we can they can contract out with us. So that's kind of something that, I know you don't want the answer to, but it has to be more centrally.
I have pleaded, not to interrupt, but I have pleaded with people, that because my dad was president of Knoxville Borough for many years. I pleaded with people, come on, you guys know my dad, let's get this going, nobody sits back. Now, they're talking about communication, we need the communication in Knoxville, if anybody here from Knoxville.
Yeah, Mayor.
Let's start fighting to get a police officer back.
Come to the council meetings, bring your friend and come to the council
We'll
meetings.
be glad to.
All it's been, there's just council.
We'll be glad to, but when we got one person who tells me all the time, there's no money.
That's not true.
And he tells me right to his face. He tells me that every time I talk to him.
Ma'am, I've never seen you at a concert.
You may not see me there, but your president of your borough had told me right to my face, there's
This
no money.
isn't the time or place for this, there are children in the building, so let's keep this simple.
But
Keep it constructive.
what I'm saying is this, we need to work as a community to work better. And I'd like to see, if we can't get a police officer in Knoxville, I would love to see the valley coming in and taking care of the speeders and whatever is in the Knoxville. Be able to sit there and watch, because our state troopers can't be tied up to our town, just ours. Thank you.
Well, I have a question and a suggestion as well. I think possibly for Scott, when we were at the community meeting in Elkland, there was an 800 number, like a community watch kind of number, that citizens could report things. I understood from that meeting that that went to Harrisburg. Like a tip line, yeah, because, you know, law enforcement wants community, you know, to get involved, report what they see, things like this, to get investigations going. And there's a thing called, Crime Stoppers. It's a tip line, and they've had a lot of arrests and everything, you know, a lot of busts, for that. And like I said, at that meeting, that number went, we were given that 800 number, but I believe it went to Harrisburg. Does anyone have a clue what it might take to get one possibly around here locally that, you know, people want to help, they want to contribute, but they don't want to go and they don't want to make an undercover buy and they don't want to go to court and testify. And that's what, you know, we've also kind of heard.